things happen. God knows, y'all, I ain't gonna lie. This time, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Oh, is she drinking? Or is she drinking? Or is she... You don't know. Yeah. And you wonder why I get up every morning. 5 o'clock. Yeah. Because that's why.
You don't even go to this church. How you gonna tell me how to pastor this church? How about you ain't even saved? How you gonna tell me how to pastor this church?
Creflo Dollar and Marvin Winans have officially teamed up, and not for a gospel tour. Word is, these two so-called men of God are working together to destroy Andria Johnson's career after she exposed their obsession with money, control, and power. She dared to speak on the greed hiding behind the sermons, and now they're allegedly blackballing her, threatening her, and doing everything they can to shut her up. This isn't just church politics, this is a full-blown takedown, and the truth behind it will leave you stunned. Before the industry turned its back on her, Andria Johnson was its crown jewel, a diamond with no polish, and that was the point. She wasn't a church girl polished to perfection. She was the bruised voice of survival. When she won season 3 of BET's Sunday Best, people fell in love with her authenticity. The vocals were undeniable, but it was the pain in her praise that made people cry. Her debut album went straight to #1. Her ministry was unlike anything the gospel world had seen.
God is so good. I'ma just take my time, and not take my time, but just to be able to embrace his presence.
But what the public didn't see, the cracks under the spotlight, the silent battles with addiction, the judgmental stares behind church doors, the pressure to package her pain into something marketable. And for years, she held it in until she didn't. The moment everything snapped, a now infamous live stream that exploded across Facebook and YouTube.
Well, why can't I live like that? You can't tell me. You can't tell me you sit in church and you don't be like, well, why can't I live like my pastor? Why can't I live like my first lady? Or they entourage? What? You can't tell me you don't feel that way. But you believe in God. Really? But you believe in God.
But she didn't just vent.
Y'all go to these conventions year after year after year after year, only to find out that who you serving is the same as you. They f***ed up. Really? But you spending your money, your hard-earned money, don't even know if your light's gonna be turned on tomorrow. And you gonna sit up here and get on my live and tell me something wrong with me? Ain't nothing wrong with me.
It quickly spiraled into a scorched earth truth bomb.
Don't be confused. I'm only upset because everybody acting like they don't see what I'm saying. That's why I'm upset. But guess what? I'm not even gonna be upset no more. I'm making an awareness. I'm telling it. I'm telling it.
She talked about the fake culture of the gospel world.
Four more individuals that's in the gospel community started a church. It's a lucrative business.
And then she said what most artists would never dare say out loud. She named names, specifically Marvin Winans.
Marvin Winans. Now I'm gonna take my shades off on this. Marvin Winans. Yeah. You can say I'm not a product of you, because the word got back to me. She ain't no product of me. Oh, no. Before I can have ears formed outside in this world, I was listening to you. And if I can go back, and if I can tell my mama not to listen to you, I'll tell her that. But I'm gonna be the bigger person.
Which is risky because Marvin is big.
He watches me.
She still went off on him.
But when I met you, you was arrogant. You was arrogant as though, for real. But guess what though? Right now, if I seen you walking on the side of the street, I just look at you and I nod. I nod. Period.
That one live stream turned her career upside down, but it also birthed a new voice. One that no longer cared about protecting egos or playing nice for booking fees. Because LaAndria wasn't here to throw shade, she came to bring the storm.
I have an amendment right. And that's freedom of speech. So my freedom of speech caused me not to be at the gospel part of the Essence Festival. And I'm pretty sure they don't want me to be there because I said Christianity, the church. I said that. Maybe that's why they don't want me to go. But no, I got a call, so I will not be there at the Essence Festival. But baby, let me tell you something. It was my right. So you don't want me to go because freedom of speech.
Now let's talk about the name that really made people clutch their pearls, Creflo Dollar. If you know gospel, you know Creflo, World Changers Church International, televangelist, prosperity gospel king.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm extremely, extremely excited. Man, something's gonna happen. Something big's happening. I believe it's a gigantic outpouring of the Holy Spirit.
The man who once told his congregation that financial blessings would flow if they sowed seeds, of course, and then had the audacity to ask for $65 million to buy a private jet.
I can believe God as long as I want to. If I want to believe God for a $65 million plane, you cannot stop me. You cannot stop me from dreaming.
But LaAndria wasn't laughing. In her eyes, this wasn't just hypocrisy, it was spiritual fraud. She accused Creflo of manipulating faith to fund his empire. Behind the favor and the harvest sermons were guilt trips dressed as doctrine. According to LaAndria, congregants weren't giving out of joy. They were being psychologically pressured to donate money they didn't have, convinced that a breakthrough would come if they just believed hard enough. And then she said something that shook people to their core. She thinks they keep a list, a literal list of who gives the most. And those people, they get meetings with the pastor. They get front row seats. They get special prayers. And if you aren't on that list, you're invisible. LaAndria said she was offered a spot in this world to become one of the faces of the prosperity gospel in exchange for financial security. She was told she could make millions if she just played the game. Instead, she walked away, broke, but with her soul intact. This is where things got heavy. Because LaAndria didn't stop at theories. She brought stories. One in particular stuck with everyone who heard it. She told the story of a single mother at Creflo's church, a woman who tithed faithfully every Sunday even when she was drowning in bills. She gave her rent money, her grocery money, all in hopes of a financial miracle. But when life got too hard and she turned to the church for help, they told her to pray harder. She was denied assistance, shamed for lack of faith, and quietly ghosted by leadership. And meanwhile, Creflo, jet-setting around the world, his ministry allegedly funding luxury trips, designer suits, and private dinners with politicians. LaAndria didn't just make people uncomfortable, she made them angry. Because her story wasn't unique. She was just the first with a big enough platform to say it out loud. But here's where the mood shifted from confession to confrontation. Because the second she called out the money, the game, the manipulation, she stopped being a gospel darling and became a liability. And she knew it. LaAndria wasn't just getting fewer calls, she was getting no calls. Regular gigs canceled, church invites dried up, gospel award nominations suddenly overlooked. Songs that were in heavy rotation on gospel radio just a week prior started disappearing from playlists. It was like she was being unmade in real time. But let's be honest, this wasn't just a spiritual consequence. This was a strategic takedown. You see, the gospel industry isn't just about praise and worship. It's a business. And LaAndria had just violated one of its golden rules: never bite the hand that books you. The moment she accused pastors like Creflo Dollar of profiting off people's pain, she wasn't just challenging the theology, she was threatening the money. And when you do that, you mess with the infrastructure. People in power started whispering that she was unstable, rebellious, ungrateful. A few even hinted she was possessed. Yes, they went that far. Why? Because if they could make her look like the problem, they wouldn't have to address what she exposed. But the wildest move came from Marvin. He made it very clear she was no longer welcome. According to LaAndria, he didn't just distance himself, he straight up acted like she didn't exist. She talked about being at a church event, walking past Marvin, and this man looked at her like she was gum on the bottom of his Ferragamo shoes. But it gets worse, because according to multiple sources, including LaAndria herself, Marvin wasn't just ignoring her in public. He was allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes. She believes he was one of the key players in having her removed from the Essence Festival's gospel lineup in 2018. She was supposed to perform in a tribute segment. Then suddenly, poof, her name was gone from the bill, and when asked why, nobody had a real answer. Just silence, ghosting, awkward PR statements. And Andria had something to say about that too. "I'm not gonna be there at the gospel part of the Essence Festival apparently, me speaking my right. I have an amendment right, and that's freedom of speech. So my freedom of speech caused me not to be at the gospel part of the Essence Festival, and I'm pretty sure they don't want me to be there because I said F Christianity, F the church. I said that. Maybe that's why they don't want me to go." This wasn't just about being disrespected. This was about being erased. Andria began hearing through back channels that pastors were being told not to book her, that some gospel stations were instructed not to spin her music, that promoters were warned about her being a risk. What had she done? Told the truth. But here's the part that'll make your skin crawl. It wasn't just lost gigs and shady snubs. Andria hinted in several videos that real intimidation was involved, not just warnings, not just passive-aggressive silencing, real threats. But she wasn't done. Because if Marvin Winans was gonna play puppet master behind the scenes, Andria decided it was time to remind people of who he really was. She didn't just accuse him of being arrogant, she accused him of being a hypocrite. She brought up how Marvin once judged her and many other single mothers.
I got pregnant out of wedlock. They wanted me to give up my baby. I said, you out your goddamn mind. Had my baby. And they called me back. And you mad at me? I'm just telling you what's going on. Don't be mad at me. I'm just telling you the truth. And you know it. You getting pregnant and people in position telling you not to have your baby because it's going to ruin the reputation? Yeah, now I'm mad. Now I am mad. Shame on you. And like I said earlier, Marvin Winans. Now I'm gonna take my shades off on this. Marvin Winans. Yeah.
But meanwhile, he had fathered a child outside of marriage himself. Then, she reminded everyone that Marvin's son, Michael Winans Jr., wasn't any better. He was literally serving 14 years in federal prison for running an $8 million Ponzi scheme involving fake Saudi oil bonds. A scandal that left over 1,200 people, many of them church members, financially destroyed. She called out the lawsuit from Marvin's former housekeeper, who said she was fired after being pressured to give 10% of her barely livable salary back to the church. And then came the Perfecting Church expose. That man owns over 90 commercial and residential properties in Detroit. That ain't no church. That's a real estate corporation wrapped in a scripture. Andria wasn't just calling Marvin out for being shady. She was exposing a whole system that let pastors preach poverty while living like kings.
Everybody making money. Those that are on in the church making money, and y'all the dumbass. Y'all sitting there, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see y'all pastor living good, first lady, they team living good, but you struggling. But I'm gonna believe God. I'm gonna believe God that He blessed me. Da 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 da. No, y'all need to cut that out. What they doing that you're not doing? They're making good business decisions. That's what they doing. But you believe in God.
And as for her fans, many stayed, many more disappeared. Gospel is a tight community, and when the machine turns on you, it turns fast. But Andria didn't break. She kept showing up. And while the industry turned its back, the people, especially the broken, the judged, and the real ones, started listening closer than ever. Then came the arrest. It was December 16th, 2024, in Greenville, South Carolina. police responded to a call about a woman allegedly screaming at patrons at a restaurant. When they arrived, they found Andria visibly intoxicated, yelling, stumbling, and slurring her words.
At noon, a Grammy Award-winning gospel singer was booked in the Greenville County Detention Center for public intoxication. Greenville police say after following up on a complaint, they found Andria Johnson on North Lawrence Street shouting profanities Monday afternoon.
She was arrested for public drunkenness and open container violations. Mugshot hit the blogs, Twitter had a field day. But here's where things flipped again. Andria didn't hide. She didn't post a fake inspirational quote or go silent. She went live again.
My friends and my supporters, thank you so much for your continued prayers and love. I do see all of the text messages and all of the phone calls. I'm just taking this time now to just really just woosah. And if y'all know me like you know me, you know that this is a daily walk, and this has been a daily walk for me for some time now. And I'm yet still growing.
Days later, her team confirmed what she said next. She had voluntarily checked herself into rehab near Nashville. This time, they said it wasn't about PR, it was about survival. The statement was short but strong. This time, she is taking the time to prioritize her health and heal past trauma. She is committed to this journey, looks forward to the positive transformation it will bring, and anticipates returning to the stage in the future. And just like that, a new chapter began, because for the first time, Andria wasn't just reacting, she was rebuilding. After rehab, Andria made a bold announcement. She was launching a support network for gospel artists, musicians, and pastors battling addiction, depression, anxiety, and burnout. She said, no matter how tough things may seem, just remember that every challenge is a chance for you to grow and shine. Keep pushing forward, stay strong, and always believe in yourself. You've got the strength to overcome anything that comes your way. You've got this. And let's talk about the most controversial thing she's teased, a documentary. Yep, Andria's reportedly working on a full-length visual testimony from Sunday best to blackballing, addiction, the gospel mafia, and her battle to reclaim her voice. A streaming platform is already rumored to be backing it. If this drops, it's going to make Surviving R. Kelly look like a trailer. And now, some of the very pastors who once judged her are allegedly reaching out in private, not to apologize, but to protect their own names. Because Andria ain't done talking, she's just getting started. But here's the thing, even after going through the arrest and rehab, it looks like she's still back to drinking, and people are calling her out for it.
Lily, is you drunk, baby? Question mark. Let me tell you something. That's a question that you should not ask when it's somebody's birthday. When it's somebody's birthday, we turn up. When it's somebody else's birthday, we turn up. But when you want to turn up, you want to turn up the way you want to turn up. And guess what? We don't know how you want to turn up. And guess what? That's you know, I'm done with all that. Are you drunk and all this kind of stuff? I'm done with all that. I promise you I'm done with all that.
When Andria Johnson first burst onto the gospel scene, nobody saw this coming. Not the label executives who thought they were signing another safe Sunday morning voice, not the pastors who clapped for her anointing but couldn't stomach her honesty, and definitely not the gospel elites who thought the girl from Sunday Best would follow their script, smile politely, and stay in her place. She exposed the greed, the manipulation, the guilt-based giving, and if you think she's done, it looks like she's just getting warmed up. Sources say she's sitting on more receipts, more stories, more names. The gospel industry better start praying for mercy, not because God's judgment is coming, but because Andria's truth might hit first. Because what's coming next? Let's just say there could be some leaked documents that prove Creflo's empire is crumbling. And once that drops, even the gospel titans will be shaking in their red bottom shoes. But don't go nowhere. Click into the next video because you are not ready for what's coming.